Now, it's been 2 years, famously, since this Fine Gael Labour government came into power, and despite all the promises and commitments of change, they have done things exactly the same way as the failed Fianna Fáil party. And while Fianna Fáil obviously presided over the economic disaster, which is continuing to cause so much hardship, Fine Gael and Labour are driving the economy into the ground. They're continuing with all of these very, very bad policies. And the latest blow is this family home tax. The government calls it property tax, but really it's a tax on the family home. And we want to make it very, very clear that it's our intention to repeal this tax. It was first proposed by Fianna Fáil and it's now been delivered by Fine Gael and Labour.
The repeal bill of the family home tax will be a top priority of any Sinn Féin government. And this bill, what it does is very simply, it repeals the local property tax, or what it should be called is the family home tax. It also repeals its predecessor, the household charge, and it also allows for a refund of those who have paid their liability under the local property tax for the year that it has been repealed. We all know that this tax is an element of the surrender that was done by the Fianna Fáil-led government when the Troika came to town. And we also know that Fine Gael at that time, and indeed Labour, argued that it would be unfair to have a repetitive taxation on somebody's family home. Sinn Féin has the political will to do the right thing by those, particularly those on low and middle income, and our introduction of this bill demonstrates that that is where our priority lies, to try and assist those who have suffered the brunt of the austerity policies not only of this government but of the previous Fianna Fáil government, which has led to 6 budgets and the withdrawal of about €30 billion in additional cuts and taxes. We have shown in our alternative budget, published last November, that there are a suite of options available to this government to bring in revenue that would allow them to repeal the local property tax. Those measures include, for example, the introduction of a wealth tax of 1% on assets above €1 million that could potentially bring in €800 million to the state. It also allows for the introduction of a third rate of tax, asking those that earn over €100,000 to pay 7 cents for every euro they earn above that figure per year. That would bring in €365 million. We also have a proposal to standardise discretionary tax reliefs, bringing in over €900 million, or a 5% levy on gambling, which would bring in over €250,000. So there are options available to this government. We have provided a list of options. Those options have been costed by the Department of Finance, and those options are available and ready to replace this local property tax, which is an unfair burden on families the length and breadth of this state.
This is the only mechanism by which the property tax can be stopped. It is a necessity to introduce repealing legislation, and that is what my colleague Pearse Doherty has done. I think it's very clear over the last 2 years that this Labour Fine Gael government have failed the fairness test at every turn. In fact, I would say that they have a rather perverse notion of what fairness means. To ask struggling families to come up with hundreds of euro on a tax on their family home is deeply unfair and deeply inequitable. And I think there was very legitimate public disquiet when it came to light that, in fact, Revenue will have very extensive powers to put their hands into the bank accounts, the welfare payments, or indeed the payroll of law-abiding citizens who are struggling. This will be the straw that breaks the camel's back. This will be the thing that tips them from struggling to not coping, from debt into poverty. This is how serious this is. And we recognise, like everybody else, that taxes have to be raised. That is a given. But it has to be done in a way that is fair and equitable and that supports families, communities and the domestic economy. So I can't give